The Buffalo Bills beat the Cleveland Browns 23-20, or was it 25-20? You be the judge. All I know is Bills win. The Bills get the dub. But now, with the win, are they in? Maybe. Did they get into the playoffs with this win? Maybe. Bills postgame starts right now. Welcome to Sports for Beginners. This is the show where I cover the Pittsburgh Penguins, Toronto Blue Jays, and take you on a journey through the world of sports. From the fans' perspective, here is your host, Scott McGregor. Let's have some fun. What's up, Bills Mafia? What's up, everybody? Great to be with you on another edition of Bills Postgame right here on Sports for Beginners, the podcast. And welcome into our listeners on the ice and behind the benches. Still lots of hockey content coming your way regarding the Pittsburgh Penguins. Of course, we want to get our football content in there as well, as best as we can. Buffalo, how are we feeling? Knowing even with this win, we could very well be in the postseason. How are we feeling? We get the dub. We get the job done. 23-20, our final score. Before we break it all down for you and get to our inactives, let's get you all caught up to speed on how Buffalo and Cleveland got to this point. For Buffalo, we'll start things off coming back from the bye, at which point they were 4-2 going into the bye, with losses against the New England Patriots 23-20 and 24-14 against the Falcons. After the bye week, the Bills grabbed 2 wins, but they lost 30-13 to the Miami Dolphins. The 2 wins they grabbed before then were 40-9 over the Carolina Panthers and 28-21 over the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs are eliminated from playoff contention as we speak. Again, we lost the second showdown to the Dolphins, 30-13, excuse me. Previously, we have beaten the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 44-32. We lost 23-19 to the Houston Texans. 3 Sundays ago, we beat the Pittsburgh Steelers 27. And to kick off the month of December, we have defeated the Cincinnati Bengals 39-34 in comeback fashion. We also had to come back against the New England Patriots, but we got our revenge against Drake May and the Patriots and Mike Vrabel. Buffalo won that game 35-31. 2 games remain on the slate, both at home. We'll get into those 2 games later in the show. Buffalo, with this win 23-20, is now 11-4. They came in to the game in Cleveland against a 3-11 Cleveland team, now a 3-12 team. Cleveland, as of late, coming out of their bye, has won 1 game out of their bye. That came against the Raiders, where they beat the Raiders 24-10. They have losses against the Jets at 27-20, 23-16 against the Ravens. That was a loss. They lost 26-8 to the 49ers at home. Were defeated 31-29 by the Tennessee Titans. And most recently, before this Bills loss to Buffalo, that is, for the Browns, they lost 31-3 at the Bears. They currently, like Buffalo, and like every other team, especially those eliminated, have 2 more games this season. But we'll talk about that later. When the season began for the Browns, just to keep it going here, the Browns lost their opener 17-16. They also lost a heartbreaker to the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore, 41-17. They picked up their first victory in a close one with the Packers at 13-10. Lost 34-10 to the Detroit Lions. They also have lost 21-17 to the Vikings, 23-9 to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They lost 32-13 to the New England Patriots before their bye, which was in week 9. And the week before that, they beat Tua and the Dolphins 30-6. That was week number 7. Week number 8 was the 32-13 loss to the New England Patriots. All right, so for the Buffalo Bills, they now have a shot to be in the postseason before the day for Sunday is up. So we will see what happens. But now let's get to our inactives. Head coach of the 3-11 coming into this game, now 3 Cleveland Browns, is Kevin Stefanski. The Buffalo Bills, 10-4 coming into this one. Head coached by Sean McDermott. They are now 11-4. Kickoff for this game was at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central, 10 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Mountain, 6 p.m. UK time, 10 p.m. France time. Out for the Buffalo Bills, as mentioned on a recent edition of Penguins postgame. The Bills were without defensive tackles Jordan Phillips and Larry Ogunjobi. Okay, anyways, I'll go with Larry O. Sorry, Larry, if I pronounce your last name wrong. I apologize. Also, the Bills were without kicker Matt Prater. Wide receivers Gabriel Davis and Keon Coleman also out. Darnell Savage is also out as a safety for the Bills. He is out. And offensive lineman Tylan Grable out as well. Out for the Cleveland Browns as we get into the inactives and continue on. They were without running back Dylan Sampson, wide receiver Jamari Thrash, tight end David Njoku, offensive lineman Wyatt Teller, defensive tackle Michael Hall, and defensive tackle Sam Kamara. They were also without cornerback Denzel Ward. All right, so those are our inactives. Kevin Stefanski and Sean McDermott, the head coaches. Again, record coming into this week was 10-4 for Buffalo in week 16. And week 16 coming into the week, it was 3-11 for the Cleveland Browns. Buffalo is 10-4. They have now won 4 in a row with victories, as we mentioned, against the New England Patriots, Cincinnati Bengals, and Pittsburgh Steelers to date. Coming into this week, if the Buffalo Bills won this game, which they did, they are in the playoffs. However, they also need an Indianapolis loss on Monday night against the 49ers and Brock Purdy. And today, they need a loss against the Houston Texans, but they got the job done to get the win against Cleveland, so that's very good. Now we just gotta wait and see how our counterparts battling for the division, the New England Patriots, do on Sunday Night Football. All right, let's get to the ball game. To the ball game we go, and in this ball game, it looked like we got a little bit of a back and forth parade between James Cook and company. I do want to let everyone know that there was 2 points that were taken off the board due to a intentional grounding penalty, which was, well, in my notes I put 14 yards. It was actually a 15-yard penalty for intentional grounding. That happened in the 4th quarter of play. Josh Allen, Shedeur Sanders quarterbacking both the Shedeur Sanders. Sorry about that if I'm pronouncing the name wrong. For Cleveland's quarterback. Apologies in advance. But anyways, they are the quarterbacks at Shedeur Sanders and Josh Allen. Josh Allen for the Bills. Shedeur Sanders. I'm going to go with S. Sanders for the Cleveland Browns. I'm trying to pronounce the name right. I apologize if I'm not getting it right. They score first thanks to Sanders, who went deep to Harold F. Jr., I should say, for a 43-yard touchdown. No, I should say a 13-yard touchdown pass to open the scoring. as we get into our first half highlights. Extra point by Andre up and good, 7-0 Browns. So the Browns will take a early lead. Sanders with the 13-yard pass to Harold F. Jr. And then Andre S. with the extra point. Buffalo quickly ties things up with James Cook going up the middle, 44 yards for the score, 7-6 Browns. Mike Badgley, in there to kick opposite Matt Prater. And of course, we don't know any words yet on Tyler Bass, so we hope he is doing well. With that said, extra point by Badgley is good. We're tied after a quarter of play. But it would not stay that way. Second quarter, the Bills get the ball into the end zone for the touchdown. Ty Johnson goes up the middle for 2 yards and the score. But Badgley missed the extra point. It hit the right upright. So Buffalo is in the lead, 13, almost up by 7. Buffalo up by 6. So Buffalo was down by 7, tied it. Now they're up by 6, 13. Andre S. quickly makes it a 3-point game again as he hits a 24-yard field goal for Cleveland. This makes it 13-10 Buffalo. Buffalo still ahead, but by 3 points now. Let's fix that, shall we? James Cook up the middle for a 3-yard touchdown later in the quarter. The second quarter, that is. And Badgley with the extra point. This one is good. So it's 20-19, 20-10, I should say. 20-10, Buffalo at the half. Buffalo is on top by 10 at the half. Let's go to our second half highlights here before we go to our break. In the second half, Buffalo first to score. It's Badgley. He's got to hit a 43-yarder. He hit one from, or he hasn't hit a field goal yet in the game yet. This is his opportunity to hit one on fourth down. It's up and in the books. A 41-yard field goal from Mike Badgley is good. Bills up by 13 points. 23-10 Buffalo. Later in the third, up the middle for 1 yard and a score. 1-yard touchdown for Harold F. Jr. puts Cleveland still within range. At the time of the Badgley field goal, it was a 13-point game for the Bills, leading 23-10. Now it's 23-16, so the score has dropped a bit. Extra point by Andre S. Up and good. 23-17 Buffalo after 3 quarters of play. And the only play that does count here in the fourth quarter ultimately lands in our final score. Andre S. called on for a 41-yard field goal. He hits it. It's 23-20. Buffalo. Buffalo is up 23-20. That would end up being our final score, but there was one play that was negated due to the intentional grounding 15-yard penalty on Shedeur Sanders, I should say, as I call him, S. Sanders. The pass was incomplete, but ruled intentional grounding, and Gregory Rousseau was on the coverage. So Buffalo would get the safety. But unfortunately, that would put him up 25-20. But unfortunately, those points were taken off the board due to the penalty on Sanders. So Buffalo ends up winning it 23-20. All right, gonna take a quick break. When we come back, game totals from Huntington Bank Field. We'll give you the play of the game, and we'll even take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard. And speaking of that, we'll take us to break here by taking a look at just a few of those games that are final so far, particularly the Thursday night and Saturday doubleheader. Thursday night football was not a doubleheader, but Saturday they did have a doubleheader. So 2 games went into overtime. One of them happened on Thursday night, and that was the game that sent Seattle to the playoffs, but boy, was it a wild one. The Seahawks winning Thursday night football They improved to 12-3. The Los Angeles Rams go to 11-4 as they lose in Seattle, Washington at Lumen Field in Seattle. Over in Chicago, another game going overtime here. And this was the nightcap, by the way, of Saturday night. And why not have some Saturday night overtime football? It was the Bears who came out on top of the Green Bay Packers in overtime, sending Green Bay from 9. Bears improved to 11-4 with a 22-16 victory in overtime. Caleb Williams with the pass in overtime to DJ Moore for 46 yards and the touchdown gets the game in the books for the Bears. And the other final from Saturday, the Eagles are kings of the NFC East once again. They drop the Washington Commanders to 4-11. The Eagles will face the Bills next week, and they'll face Buffalo, coming in with a record 10-5. That is a result of the 29-18 victory for the Eagles. And when the Buffalo Bills face the Eagles, they'll be facing the NFC East Division champion Eagles. Buffalo is still able to find a way to win that division in the AFC East, but a lot depends on Sunday Night Football, and a lot depends on how next week goes for both Buffalo and New England. All right, the finals thus far from Sunday, when Bills postgame continues, the play of the game, game stats, and time permitting, we go inside the locker room to hear from Coach McDermott and the Bills locker room after yet another, my goodness, win. I call it oh my goodness, but you can call it whatever you want to call it, Bills Mafia. He and some people that he was with, probably his family members, went down to Cleveland to catch Bills Browns. So shout out to you, Mr. Byrne. Hope you enjoyed the game. Bills win it. And I can't wait to hear what the experience was like, win or loss. Before we say goodbye from the show, of course, not after this break, obviously, we still got lots to go. We will take a look at the late slate of games, but first, the games so far from Sunday afternoon, early Sunday afternoon, and those come your way following the play of the game and the game stats, which come your way when Bills postgame continues in just moments. Don't go anywhere. There's more great conversations and content right around the corner. Sports for Beginners will be right back in a moment.
CNT Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down, nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for The Melting Pot every Saturday on CNT Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for The Melting Pot on CNT Radio.
Take another look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo, two powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
Now, let's take you back to the action. To the rink and field we go. We find Scott McGregor.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Bills postgame. I am your host, Scott McGregor. Please call me Scott. Buffalo wins 120 games as we speak that are underway, include the Denver Broncos and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Denver down by 7 at the half, 7-10. Coming to the half, we have at the 2-minute warning, the Lions in the red zone, currently tied with the Steelers. A chance to tie and take the lead for the Falcons as they are down 16-10. Buffalo needs a win from the Raiders to clinch a playoff spot. They also need a win from the winners to get into that spot. And a loss from the New England Patriots would do them good as well. Now, one thing that unfortunately didn't go Buffalo's way this week, other than a win, which went their way, but it wasn't pretty, was the Los Angeles Chargers knocking off the Dallas Cowboys. But maybe that's not so damaging. The good news is Buffalo got the win. Final score, as I mentioned, 23-20 in favor of the Bills. And as I mentioned before, we have some big stuff to get to, as there's some more hockey to get to on Sports for Beginners and on the ice and behind the benches when we wrap up here. Let's keep it rolling here, bringing up our shared screen with our out-of-town scoreboard. In the early window, the Miami Dolphins fall 45-21 to the Cincinnati Bengals, who improve from 4-10 to 5-10. The Miami Dolphins are now 6-9. They came in with a record of 6-8. They drop at Hard Rock Stadium 45-21. As we mentioned, Buffalo with a 23-20 win over the Cleveland Browns. The Dallas Cowboys, we needed the Cowboys to win because the Chargers do kind of pose a threat to Buffalo, especially when it comes to being in a good seed in the playoffs. Chargers defeat the Cowboys 34-17, Their record improves to 11-4. The Cowboys drop to 6-8-1. 6-9 is the record now for the Kansas City Chiefs. They came in with a 6-8 record against the 2-12 Tennessee Titans, who improved to 3-12 with a 26-9 victory over the Kansas City Chiefs. The New York Jets fall to 3-12 as the New Orleans Saints pick up their 5th win. They are 5-10 with a 29-6 victory over the New York Jets. The Minnesota Vikings and the New York Giants, they had quite the game here, but the Vikings come out on top 16-13 in New York between the Giants and the Vikings. Over in Carolina, the Panthers escape the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to improve to 8-7. The Buccaneers were also 7-7, same as the Panthers were going into this game. They dropped to 7-8 with the 23-20 loss. And that's it. That's it for the action so far from Sunday. Of course, the other games underway as we speak. Right now, heading into halftime, we have ongoing the Steelers trailing the Lions 10-3. 1:05 to go in the first half, I should say now. Texans also leading the Raiders 10-7, heading into halftime with 1:23 before then. Of course, our thing is not really up to date here on the computer. At the half, 17-10 Broncos trail the Jaguars. And as we approach the end of the first half, in Arizona, we're all tied up at 16 apiece. 16-16 our score from Arizona in Scottsdale. Current records for the teams going on right now. The Cardinals are 3-11. The Falcons 5-9. Broncos are 12-2. The Jaguars 10-4. Steelers 8-6. Lions 8-6 as well. Raiders are 2-12. The Texans are 9-5 as we speak. Quickly here before I go to a break and I get to the play of the game. New England is 11-3. Baltimore 7-7. Let's go Ravens. I'll just say that right now. Let's go Ravens. We need a Ravens win to help our chances in winning our 6th title in the AFC East for the Buffalo Bills. So let's go Ravens. And on Monday Night Football, the 10-4 San Francisco 49ers, we're rooting for the 49ers against the Colts, who are 8-6. Let's go Niners. All right, real quick here. I'll rapid fire the play of the game here. We don't play audio nowadays for our play of the game, but we're just going to go ahead and do it. I'm not going to play audio here, but I'm going to provide you with my play of the game. And honestly, it doesn't come in the scoring summary. No, it comes as one of the 2 picks Shadeo or Sanders threw in this game, which came in the first quarter. Sanders was intercepted by old friend Jordan Poyer of the Buffalo Bills back in the fray. Jordan Poyer with the interception. The other interception, which unfortunately is not good enough for my play of the game, but a close second, came off of Darren Jones. It came off of, I think I have that right, Darren Jones. I think that's right. Daquan Jones. There we go, Daquan Jones. But Jordan Poyer interception's good enough for my play of the game. And ultimately, I think the Daquan Jones interception was really the ultimate turning point of the game. All right, so honorable mention to Daquan Jones for the second pick of the game for Buffalo to get this win. I'm going to go, though, for my play of the game with the interception in the first quarter caught by Jordan Poyer. It was a nice catch, by the way, by Jordan. And I can't wait to break down those stats with you when we get back. Also, when we get back, we'll keep a close eye on Steelers, Lions, Jaguars, Broncos, and of course the games Buffalo needs wins for the Raiders and the 2 teams that they need wins against the New England Patriots and the Indianapolis Colts. We need a Raiders win, a 49ers win, and a Ravens win. Unfortunately, not able to get the win from the Chargers, but we can still get into the playoffs if Houston loses to the Raiders, or on Monday Night Football, Indy loses to the 40. The stats of the game and our continuing coverage of Out of Town Scoreboard, a look inside the locker room, and game balls of the game, all when we get back on Bills Postgame. Stick with us. Don't go anywhere. There's more great conversations and content right around the corner. Sports for Beginners will be right back in a moment. Hey everyone, it's Scott McGregor here. Join me weekly right here on Sports for Beginners for weekly episodes, your weekly dive in around sports news surrounding the Toronto Blue Jays, Pittsburgh Penguins, Toronto Raptors, and more. We'll have guests on a week-to-week basis, and so much more. Lots of great conversations coming. Be sure to subscribe to our show so you never miss an episode. And with that, make sure to like our Facebook page, Sports for Beginners Podcast 87. Just type that into your browser, and you should be sure to find our Facebook page. We'll also provide bonus content. It's going to be a dull moment you'll never want to miss. Check out Sports for Beginners with me weekly for daily news around the sports league, surrounding my favorite sports teams and yours, and so much more. Until then, we'll see you at action time.
Take another look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo. 2 powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
CNT Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down. Nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for The Melting Pot every Saturday on CNT Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for The Melting Pot on CNT Radio.
Now, let's take you back to the action. To the rink and field we go. We find Scott McGregor.
Welcome back to Bills postgame. Bills and the Browns, the topic of conversation. Bills win 23-20, the final score, the exact final score. Of course, the game point negated was a safety by the Buffalo Bills on Shedeur Sanders, I should say, which ultimately would have meant the Buffalo Bills would have defeated the Cleveland Browns by 5 points, 25-20. It was a negated call, so the final score would stay where it is, 23-20, which would wind up our final score. It is time to get down to business. Let's get to our game stats. And as I mentioned before the break, we will keep an eye on the action currently going on as we speak. The Denver Broncos trail the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars are on top of the Broncos 31-17. You can also see that the Falcons are up 19-16 in their game right now. That game is in the third quarter, as is the Denver game, also in the third quarter. The Detroit Lions are behind by 2 points. It is 12-10 Pittsburgh coming out of the half. They were all tied up at the half at 10-10 apiece. And the Raiders have taken the lead on the Houston Texans. It is 14-3 as we speak. Still to come tonight, the Ravens host the Patriots. A Ravens win would be great for the Buffalo Bills. A Patriot win would, I guess, not be too disastrous as long as the Raiders win. That means Buffalo is in the playoffs as of this recording. They did get the job done today against the Cleveland Browns. Unfortunately, we didn't get the help we needed from the Dallas Cowboys. So now we need help from the Raiders, and we need help from the 49ers. We also need some help from the Ravens when it comes to our division. But with all that being said, let's jump to our stats, our team stats. Also should let you guys know that with this win, as the head coach of the Buffalo Bills, Coach McDermott, that's right, our coach, is now the second coach in NFL history. He actually, I should say, has the second most wins in NFL history as an NFL head coach in his first 9 seasons. So, yes, to be more specific, Coach Sean McDermott of the Bills, he has the second most wins in an NFL head coach's first 9 seasons, with win 97 coming off of the Cleveland Browns in Cleveland today. Congratulations, Sean. 97 wins is the second most in an NFL head coach's first 9 seasons. What a day for Coach McDermott. The victory speech is up, but we'll get to that before we go back to the out-of-town scoreboard. Before we can go there, let's get to our stats. We went through our play of the game, so let's go to our stats. Starting, as always, with our time of possession. The Cleveland Browns held the ball for 35 minutes and 23 seconds. Buffalo with possession of the ball for 24 minutes and 37 seconds. Cleveland had a couple more first downs than Buffalo did. 2 automatic first downs, 8 passing first downs, 12 rushing first downs. They had 22 total first downs. Buffalo with 16, 10 rushing first downs, and 6 passing first downs. No automatic first downs for Buffalo in this one. They went 2 of 8 in third down conversions. Buffalo did. Cleveland went 8 of 14 in conversions on third down. Both Buffalo and Cleveland unable to connect going forward on fourth down efficiency. The Bills had 2 opportunities and could not convert. They are 0 for 2 on fourth down in this one. Buffalo 0 for 1. Oh, sorry, I should say Cleveland 0 for 1 on fourth down efficiency. The Bills 0 for 2 on fourth down. Total yards, 259 yards for the Buffalo Bills, 294 yards for the Cleveland Browns on 64 plays. They averaged 4.6 yards per play. Buffalo called 50 plays, averaging 5 per gain, I should say. Buffalo's rushing yards. Buffalo rushed the ball for 164 yards on 29 rushes, averaging 5.7 yards per rush. 160 yards rushing for the Cleveland Browns. 31 rushes for them. They averaged 5 points per rush. Josh threw for 95 yards, under 100 yards passing the ball for Josh Allen in this one. He completed 12 of 19 of his completion attempts, averaging 4-point pass. The Browns got to Josh twice, and Josh lost 35 yards off of 2 sacks. 3 sacks for the Bills drop Shedeur Sanders 3 times. He loses 23 yards as a result of the 3 sacks. Sanders, however, went 20 of 30 in completion attempts, passed for 134 yards, and averaged 4-point pass. 5 penalties each went to Buffalo and Cleveland. Cleveland penalized 44 yards. Buffalo 35 yards off of 5 penalties. 3 touchdowns for Buffalo, all on the ground. 2 touchdowns for Cleveland Browns, 1 on the ground and 1 in the air. So no touchdown passes for Josh in this one. 2 turnovers, and there was 1 special team touchdown that was negated as a safety, but it was a negated one. We'll get to that in a second. No turnovers for Buffalo, no fumbles lost, no interceptions thrown by Josh Allen. Shedeur Sanders threw 2 interceptions, which were the 2 turnovers. Cleveland fumbled the ball but recovered. They did not lose the ball, so no other or rather defensive or special team touchdowns to add to the touchdown margin. 2 INTs thrown by Shedeur Sanders. Buffalo 49.7 yards off of punt returns, off of 3 punts average. 2 punts for Cleveland Browns, 51.5 yards averaged off of punts. Return yards, both teams each with 110 yards returning. Buffalo had 2 returns off of the punt for 7 yards. 1 return for Cleveland with 3 yards on the return. Both teams had 4 kickoff returns. Cleveland with the better half here, 107 yards returning the ball off of the kickoff. They had no interception return yards. Buffalo had 2 for 11 yards in total. Buffalo 92 yards off of 4 kickoff returns. Buffalo 3 for 4 in kicking. Extra points, they were 2 for 3. Field goals, perfect at 1 for 1. Field goals and extra points for the Cleveland Browns, they go 2 for 2. Also, as a result of the 2 for 2 extra point and field goals for Cleveland. So they were great kicking the ball today. They weren't too good when it comes to goal-to-go efficiency, 1 for 2, 50%. In the red zone, they were 2 for 4, 50% good in the red zone. Goal-to-go efficiency, 1 for 2. Bills perfect on goal-to-go efficiency with only 1 opportunity there. They're at 100%, 1 for 1 on goal-to-go efficiency. In the red zone, the Bills are 66% good. They converted twice on 3 opportunities. No safeties in the game, but Buffalo almost got 1 safety that would have ultimately led to a 25-20 victory for Buffalo. Passing yards, yeah, it says 95, but in reality, Josh actually threw for 130 yards, 157 yards for Shedeur Sanders. And yes, Shedeur was 20 of 29 in completion attempts. He also did have, I believe, one other attempt. Yes, he did, but it didn't count here for his offensive stats. Interceptions by Jordan Poyer and Daquan Jones of the Buffalo Bills. 3 sacks for the Bills on defense. 2 sacks for the Browns on defense. Victory speech from head coach Sean McDermott and the company that he is joined by. Denver in the red zone, but they trail 34-17 to the Jacksonville Jaguars as they have begun the fourth quarter. They're now about 10 minutes and 50 seconds into the fourth quarter. 20-hour score between the Atlanta Falcons and the Arizona Cardinals. Atlanta on top. The Texans have taken the lead. It's now 16-14 over the Las Vegas Raiders as they enter the fourth quarter of play. And in the fourth, the Pittsburgh Steelers are kicking the ball off, still leading 12-10 as we speak. And with that being said, we still have Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football to go between the San Francisco 49ers and the Indianapolis Colts. Touchdown, Denver! Touchdown, Denver! As we were going over the action, touchdown, Denver! Touchdown, Denver! I repeat, touchdown, Denver! And the Denver Broncos are now behind the Jaguars, 34-20. Boy, Mile High, we got ourselves a football game in Denver. We have ourselves a football game. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll get right back to that. But first, we got to get to game balls of the game. And before we do that, it's time to go inside the locker room and get a look at our victory speech. Speech. Let's get a look at the speech if we can. See if I can bring it up here. Going inside our locker room. Let's see if we can bring it on. Okay, let's see. We're going to go live here, see if we can bring that up there. Of course, you can catch the post-game show live after Bills games, as well as press conferences and so much more. All that good stuff coming your way with your host, Maddie Glab and Steve Tasker. All right. Still looking for our victory speech. I know it's up on the social media. So you know what? I'm going to pull up the Bills on social media and pull up our victory speech from there. Takes quite a while to do it, but we will see what we got. And we are looking for the locker room speech. Again, our Bills get the dub. They get the job done. So let's go ahead and go in the locker room. Unfortunately, I can't really, now that I have it on the Instagram for the Bills, which is at Buffalo Bills. Can't really dismantle these comments, but we will work with what we can here. Here is Sean McDermott post-game after the Bills win. Enjoy.
Hey, that's a great win, man. Just find a way this time of year. Find a way. I'm going to tell you what, defense. You stood up in the second half, man. Great job. Great job. A lot to be thankful for this time of year. Take care of yourselves. All right, Josh, you got them. If by 1, it's by 100. Love y'all. What out there with me?
I like it. Short and to the point. And he's absolutely right. You got a lot to be thankful for this year, this time of year. But basically, to run it off here for you, here we go. Hey, that's a great win, man. Just find the way at this time of year. Find a way. And I'll tell you what, defense stood up in the second half. Man, great job across the year right now. Lots to be thankful for this time of the year. Take care of yourselves, he said to the team. And he said, all right, Josh, you got them. And Josh ended off with, we just by 1, it's by 100. Love y'all. Here we go. And of course, you know, win on 3, 1, 2, 3, win. Buffalo is 11-4, heading into Eagles week next week, right after the Christmas break. So Bills Mafia, even though Sports for Beginners is on a hiatus right now for season content, our bonus content continues. And right now that we've heard the victory speech, we could really hear it on the YouTube channel or at the Buffalo Bills website. BuffaloBills.com is where we can find it. As for me, I'll probably watch it again on the YouTube channel, see if we can get anything more from it. But it looked like it was very short and to the point. So what we're going to do now, ladies and gentlemen, now that that's out of the way, there you go. There it is. There's the victory speech I wanted. I had to go to more videos. There we go. It's okay. We did We did the victory speech. We're good. We don't need to hear it again. Anywho, time now for your game balls of the game. If you want to get in on the action, the best way to do it, besides utilizing our WhatsApp or our Discord server, send us a nod on our Facebook page, or the best way to do it is by sending an email to sportsforbeginnerspodcast 8231@gmail.com with subject Bills postgame game ball of the game. You could do that for the play of the game as well. And new next year, we'll give you a chance to try out a standout player from each game. All right, with that said, got a couple of game balls to get to. The first three, I should say, are going to go to the Buffalo side of the ball, and two of them are going on the offensive side of the ball. James Cook, another good game for James Cook. 117 yards running, 16 attempts carrying the ball in this one. 2 touchdowns. His longest run was a 44-yard run, which was also a touchdown for James Cook. Next game ball for the Buffalo Bills going to go to quarterback Josh Allen, 12 of 19 completions. Not too shabby for Josh. Would have liked it if there was a little bit more that he completed. And last but certainly not least, one of the two men who caught very close to all of his targets. That was Kale Shakir. 5 targets, 4 catches, 34 yards. His longest catch was an 18-yard catch. Jackson Hawes had 26 yards and 2 targets, 2 catches. His longest catch was an 18-yarder. Tyrell Shavers only caught one of his 2 opportunities and led the Bills. Well, technically Jackson Hawes led the Bills. No, Kale Shakir led the Bills with the receiving yards. But anyways, a close third to that was Tyrell Shavers with 1 catch on 2 targets. And it was his longest catch, which was 21 yards. Not too shabby for Terrell Shavers. Over on the Cleveland side, our game balls, first and foremost, going to go to Shador Sanders. 20 of 29 completion attempts, threw 2 picks, 1 touchdown. He throwed 2 picks for Buffalo, picked off by Jordan Poyer, and then again by Daquan Jones. Corey Borjorgris with 1 drop back attempt was ruled incomplete. There was another guy out there if needed for Cleveland, and that was Dylan Gabriel. No attempts to pass the ball, no incompletions. So Shador Sanders with the first game ball of the game, 100 passing. Sanders also rushed for 49 yards. His biggest rush was a 16-yard rush. 4 carries for Sanders. Raheem Sanders with another game ball of the game, our second one of the day. 42 yards on 11 carries, 9 yards a long run for him. Raheem Sanders, not exactly ideal for 9 yards to be your longest run, but that's okay. And this guy right here caught 4 of his 6 targets, but when he was running the ball, I almost thought he would be unstoppable. I'm talking about Harold F. Jr. 34 yards receiving, 4 catches on 6 targets, 13 yards longest catch, 1 touchdown in the air. He also had a touchdown on the ground, which was a 1-yard touchdown. And a very close second to Harold F. Jr. was a guy that caught 5 of his 6 targets for 29 yards, and his longest catch was a 16-yard catch. That was Quinshon Judkins. I'm going to go with QJ. Sorry about that if I pronounced it wrong. And next up, how about an honorable mention and our third game ball of the game go to Cedric Tillman. Not a great game by Cedric, but he was targeted once and he made the catch. Trayvon Williams also making 4 catches on all of his 4 targets. He caught all 4 of his targets. 38 yards, 26 yards his longest catch. Ultimately leading the receiving core for the Cleveland Browns in this one. And with that said, those are our game balls of the game. And now it's time to take a look at the playoff picture. Already in the postseason, locked in, the Seattle Seahawks, who have jumped in to the number 1 seed in the NFC, number 1 in the NFC, have moved to the number 5 seed. They are still in the playoffs, and they still have a chance to clinch their division, as do the Seattle Seahawks. But now the Seahawks at 12-3 have an opportunity to also wrap up the NFC standings. The Chicago Bears are 11-4. They are currently the 2nd seed. Green Bay is the 7th seed at 9-5. 9-5-1. The 3rd seed belongs to the 10-5 Eagles, and the Panthers 8-7. They are the 4th seed. They will take on the 5th seed if this stays where it is. The 5th seed Rams 11-4. And the San Francisco 49ers are still currently the 6th seed, but they could very well wind up in one of the higher seeds, and the Rams could go down to either the 6th or 7th seed in the NFC. If this were to stay locked where it is, the Eagles would host the 49ers, the Panthers would host the Rams, the Bears host the Packers, and the winner of one of those games will face the Seahawks if the Seahawks wrap up the NFC and get that first round bye. Over in the AFC, before we go to the AFC, let's go to the eliminated teams here. Right now in the hunt, still we have the Detroit Lions in the hunt for the playoffs. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are also in the hunt. Minnesota, Dallas, Atlanta, New Orleans, Washington, the Giants, and the Cardinals are out of playoff contention. They are eliminated. Detroit and Tampa Bay fighting for their playoff lives. Also fighting for their playoff lives is Green Bay as well as San Francisco. Teams already in the playoffs and with the division clinched. We have the Philadelphia Eagles, your NFC East champions. The Los Angeles Rams are in the playoffs, but they did not clinch the division. The Seattle Seahawks are in the playoffs. They have not clinched their division yet, but they probably could by the time our show is up. They played on Thursday Night Football in a thriller in overtime. Let's go to the AFC side. On the AFC, in the playoffs currently are the Denver Broncos, so they can wrap up the AFC with a win and one of the scenarios going down. That also will mean they clinch their division with a win this week. But they are in the playoffs, and that's job one. Fighting for their playoff lives are the New England Patriots, Jacksonville Jaguars, Pittsburgh Steelers, LA Chargers, Buffalo Bills, and the Houston Texans, as well as the Indianapolis Colts. They are still battling for their lives. And the Baltimore Ravens, I want to say they're still fighting for their playoff lives, but I feel like if New England were to beat the Ravens, which I don't want happening, as I'm sure most of you Bills Mafia do not want happening, I think the Ravens probably are eliminated if they lose on Sunday Night Football. Probably. Speaking of being eliminated, teams already eliminated from contention in the AFC are the Kansas City Chiefs, Miami Dolphins, Cincinnati Bengals, the New York Jets, Tennessee Titans, Cleveland Browns, and the Las Vegas Raiders. With that in mind, the AFC East is still up for grabs, which means Buffalo still has a chance to win the East if they get an opportunity, but they're going to need some help from teams that New England plays down the stretch. Buffalo is 11-4. New England is 11-3. They would be tied if New England were to lose on Sunday Night Football. Over in the AFC North, the Pittsburgh Steelers, if they win this week, could likely wrap up the AFC North and become the AFC North champions. The Jacksonville Jaguars are currently leading the AFC South, looking for the division and probably wrapping up the AFC. We have the Denver Broncos currently in action against the Jaguars. They're currently trying to come back against the Jaguars as we speak. And Denver is the only team in the AFC West so far that have clinched the playoffs. Most of the divisions, NFC West, NFC South, NFC have been eliminated. Most of the teams in those divisions have been eliminated. Everybody in the east of the NFC has been eliminated except for the Philadelphia Eagles, who are, as we said, your 2025-2026 NFC East champions. All right, folks, let's quickly check in on the scoreboard here as we prepare to get ready for some hockey action here on Bills postgame. Let's take a look. We're going to go ahead and unshare the screen here as we go along. As mentioned, the Denver Broncos looking to try and come back. If they lose this game, it's not bad, but it also still opens the door for the New England Patriots, who are looking like Denver. They are looking for a division title of their own, and they are also looking for the #1 seed in the AFC East. With 2 minutes to go in the game and the Jaguars on the ball, 2 costly turnovers by the Jaguars could be the difference in a victory for the Denver Broncos and a heartbreaking defeat also for Denver, knowing that the division is very close to being yours in the division where you've got the Chiefs and so on and so forth. They currently trail 34-20. Also at the 2-minute warning, the Atlanta Falcons lead the Cardinals 26th quarter. In the fourth quarter, heading for the 2-minute warning, the Houston Texans are on top by 2 against the Raiders. It's 23-21 there. So unless Houston wins this game, it's good news for Buffalo. If the Texans lose this game, that's good news for the Bills. So let's see if the Raiders have a little comeback stunner in them. And over in Pittsburgh, I should say over in Detroit, the Lions trail the Steelers with 7:50 to go in the fourth quarter. 7 minutes and 50 seconds to go in the fourth. They trail the Steelers 22-17. Later tonight, the 7-7 Ravens face the 11-3 Patriots. A win for the Ravens is good news for the Bills. A win for the Niners on Monday night, also good news for the Bills. And that game, Monday Night Football, is the 10-4 San Francisco 49ers against the 8-6 Indianapolis Colts. We're getting down to it. We're into the final 2 weeks. It's crunch time for those teams fighting for their lives, fighting for the playoffs. If I didn't know any better, I'd say there is a good chance Buffalo misses the playoffs, but not if they're 11-4. I really don't think there is a chance that we miss the playoffs this year. I really don't. I don't think so. Up next, for Buffalo, back-to-back home games as the farewell season to the old Highmark Stadium that will become a new Highmark Stadium just across the street from One Bills Drive. The Bills are at home for some holiday cooking heading into 2026. They will face the 10-5 Eagles next week. Game time 4:25 p.m. Eastern. Game time for the Jets and the Bills set to be determined for Week 18. By the end of the Eagles game, I'm sure we should know what time Jets versus Bills will be at. And that's a home game for Buffalo. That is their home game finale of their farewell season to the old Highmark Stadium that they will be playing in for 2 more weeks here in 2025 before they move across the street to the new Highmark Stadium being built and set to open next season in 2026. As for the Cleveland Browns, they'll look to end their season on a high note, already eliminated from playoff contention. We wish you guys nothing but the best of luck. They will battle the Pittsburgh Steelers next Sunday at 1 p.m. on CBS, the day after Boxing Day. That will be here in Cleveland, the site of the Bills' 23-20 victory over the Cleveland Browns. And the Cincinnati Bengals will host Cleveland in their final game of the season on January 4th, 2026. Time to be announced. Week 18 games are to be announced. We don't know when they're going to start, but we will sure as heck know those by the time we get to next week. I am definitely, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm definitely certain we are going to know. We are going to know when these week 18 games begin by the end of week 17. We are going to know who's playing who at what time. Well, we already know who's playing who in week 18. What we don't know is when's the game? When's kickoff? We don't know. We will know. I'm going to guarantee you right now, we will know by the end of this week and by the end of next week, most likely. If we don't know by the end of this week, we're going to know by the end of next week. All right, that is it for Bills postgame. The Bills beat the Browns 23-20 at Huntington Bank Field. Thank you guys so much for being with us. We really appreciate it. If you love sports, no matter if you're a football fan, hockey fan, baseball fan, whatever it may be, we got more coverage coming for you. Torrent and the Fleet coming up next on PWHL Recap. But right now, a rest for my voice and a rest for us as we enter into Victory Monday. Bills Mafia. The season is rounding down and the playoffs are on the way. Will Buffalo make the playoffs? Do they make it this week? Well, we got the job done to get the win, but will we get the help we need to get in there? I'm sure we'll find out by the time the night is through. Until then, Bills Mafia, go out there, go enjoy your Victory Monday. Happy holidays, everybody. We'll catch up with you after Boxing Day, and again, as I said, after Eagles and Bills. Until then, happy holidays and go Bills. Thank you so much for listening to Sports for Beginners. If you would like to learn more about the show, you can visit the podcast Facebook page or visit the official website. You can also send us an email at sportsforbeginners podcast8231@gmail.com. As we always remind you, it is not goodbye, it is until next time.